board. 4 trustees opposed to Henyard asked for that temporary restraining order, saying that under the law, those appointments must be approved by trustees. The judge agreed, saying, quote, the mayor has to follow the law and can't make appointments from her house.
As Tiffany Henyard's legal troubles mount in Dolton, she is also under federal investigation concerning her role as Thornton Township supervisor. This investigation appears to focus on potential corruption and mismanagement within the township. In April 2024, federal subpoenas were issued, demanding a wide array of documents, including employment records, financial reports, receipts, and communications linked to the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation. The subpoenas also seek contracts involving several individuals and organizations associated with Henyard's political and business dealings. The scope of the investigation is extensive, covering township budgets, board meeting minutes, and records related to multiple vendors and law firms. It also requests documents from trips taken by Henyard and her team to Springfield, Washington, D.C., and Las Vegas, indicating that federal authorities are thoroughly examining all aspects of her activities. Public reaction has been increasingly vocal, with residents of both Dolton and Thornton Township expressing their opposition to her leadership. Numerous protests and public meetings have taken place, with many community members calling for Henyard's resignation. They have voiced frustration over perceived mismanagement of public funds and a lack of transparency within her administration. In Thornton Township, residents have rallied to take our township back, citing concerns about Henyard's handling of resources and the ongoing federal investigation. As more details about the subpoenas and legal filings emerge, protests have intensified. Henyard's tenure as both Dolton mayor and Thornton Township supervisor is steeped in controversy, with court rulings and federal probes highlighting potential misuse of power and mismanagement. As legal proceedings unfold, her future in public office remains uncertain, with growing public discontent and federal scrutiny creating an uphill battle for her political survival.
Don Andrew Holmes has been a familiar face in Chicago for many years for his work as a community activist helping crime victims and police. But now Holmes is being accused of sexual assault in a lawsuit filed late last night by a former employee of the village of Dolton and a Dolton police officer.
Tiffany Henyard's appointment as supervisor of Thornton Township in March 2022 marked a swift consolidation of power as she quickly filled key positions with loyal allies, including Keith Price, whom she appointed as the manager of the food assistance program at the local pantry. Almost immediately, Gerald Jones, a longtime employee, noticed a troubling shift in the workplace environment. Price seemed primarily focused on purging staff who did not demonstrate unwavering loyalty to Henyard. This pattern of behavior was hardly surprising given Henyard's reputation for surrounding herself with those who pledge absolute allegiance. Anyone who dared to speak up or report ethical concerns faced swift retribution. Between March 2022 and January 2023, Jones endured a barrage of mistreatment and threats from Price, who consistently made rude, degrading, and unprofessional remarks toward both Jones and other employees. Having attended several township supervisor meetings, it was clear that Price's public demeanor mirrored the way he likely treated employees in private settings. Under his management, the pantry experienced a noticeable decline in the quality of its provisions and services. For instance, in December 2022, Jones discovered a mice infestation at the pantry, which posed a significant health and safety hazard. This incident underscored the deteriorating conditions at the facility. Frustrated by the lack of action taken to resolve these critical issues, Jones escalated the matter to the Office of Inspector General, OIG, on January 3, 2023. Shortly thereafter, OIG sent a letter to Jones stating that the pantry had provided proof of addressing the infestation and considered the issues raised in Jones's complaint to be resolved. However, once Price learned of Jones's formal complaint, the mistreatment escalated dramatically. By February 1, 2023, while at work, Price made a threatening remark to Jones, suggesting they could go outside to settle matters physically. This confrontation was witnessed by other pantry workers, illustrating a toxic work culture that had developed under Price's leadership. As the situation continued to deteriorate, Price retaliated against Jones by denying him overtime shifts, despite other employees being granted similar opportunities. Previously, Jones had regularly worked overtime without issue, but following his formal complaint about the infestation, Price's behavior toward him took a sharp turn. Price began to publicly berate Jones in front of coworkers and clients, creating a hostile work environment. By January 2023, the atmosphere became so volatile that employees reportedly began openly carrying firearms for protection, a drastic measure that speaks volumes about the level of fear and insecurity present in the workplace. Adding to this troubling narrative, a food pantry worker wrote something disturbing on the chalkboard: "When I leave here, everyone will end." This unsettling message raised questions about the emotional state of employees and the overall environment in which they were forced to work. Jones ultimately reached a breaking point around April 3, 2023, deciding to leave the pantry rather than continue enduring the mistreatment at the hands of Price. His departure was fueled by a fear for his safety and an inability to tolerate the toxic atmosphere any longer. Price's role as Food Assistance Program Manager extended beyond mere oversight. He used his position to terrorize his staff. The situation only worsened after Jones reported the mice infestation. Price's behavior shifted to outright intimidation, including making threats of physical violence. Such conduct is indicative of a severe abuse of authority, raising serious concerns about the oversight and leadership within Thornton Township. Tiffany Henyard, as the supervisor, had a crucial responsibility to foster a safe and equitable work environment. Instead, she either ignored the situation or actively condoned Price's retaliatory behavior. After Jones filed his complaint, rather than intervening, Henyard overlooked Price's actions, enabling him to continue mistreating staff without any repercussions. As a result, Jones has suffered significant emotional distress and financial losses due to the township's retaliatory actions. In light of these events, Gerald Jones is seeking a judgment against the defendants for back pay and consequential damages for emotional distress, as well as punitive damages, attorney's fees, and other costs associated with this action. The absence of township representatives at this critical lawsuit raises significant concerns about the leadership in Thornton Township. The lack of legal representation during a $3 million lawsuit indicates chaos and dysfunction, underscoring Henyard's failure to address these pressing issues. As the situation unfolds, the absence of legal counsel for the township signals a disregard for accountability and oversight. Henyard seems to be attempting to deflect blame for this absence, but the postponement of the issue only highlights the disarray surrounding her administration. With no resolution in sight, the township's leadership faces increasing scrutiny as developments continue to emerge. The case against Keith Price and the broader implications of Henyard's leadership are significant. They reveal a troubling environment where fear and intimidation have become the norm, raising critical questions about the ethical standards upheld within Thornton Township. As community members become increasingly aware of these dynamics, the calls for accountability will only intensify. In conclusion, the situation at Thornton Township reflects a failure of leadership at multiple levels. Tiffany Henyard's inability, or unwillingness, to confront the toxic environment fostered by Keith Price not only jeopardizes the well-being of employees, but also undermines public trust in local governance. As legal proceedings progress, all eyes will be on how this case unfolds and whether it prompts meaningful changes in leadership and oversight in Thornton Township. The outcome of Gerald Jones's lawsuit may very well serve as a litmus test for the integrity of the township and the commitment to fostering a safe and equitable workplace.
Travel guidelines in place for elected officials and also put caps on spending and salaries. Those proposals come after a series of controversial moves by Henyard, who's accused of using public money for personal gain and not being transparent about her spending. So when the trustees showed up to the meeting last night, the agenda included none of those proposals, so they refused to budge on this.
Let's delve into the core issue fueling Tiffany Henyard's deep frustration: her alleged overreach in appointing key positions within the village without the necessary legal consent from the Board of Trustees. Central to this controversy is a temporary restraining order that was triggered following the dismissal of Keith Freeman and the subsequent appointment of Michael Smith as his replacement. Additionally, Angel Lockett was designated as the village attorney, and Ronnie Burge was named police chief. This situation highlights a significant power struggle within Dolton's government, raising critical legal and ethical questions about the proper exercise of authority in governance. At the center of this conflict are Kiana Belcher and Tammy Brown, two trustees representing 4 of the 6 elected officials who form the majority on the board. Henyard, as the mayor, is facing legal action both individually and in her capacity as mayor, alongside the individuals she appointed: Michael Smith, Angel Lockett, and Ronnie Burge. Starting in July 2024, tensions escalated as Price began issuing directives to village employees, emphasizing compliance with various laws and ordinances enacted by the board. He requested that all service requests from Henyard be documented in writing to ensure proper resource deployment. Furthermore, department heads were instructed to remove any signage featuring Henyard's name and likeness to adhere to village regulations. Price mandated that all expenditures incurred by the mayor's office receive approval from the Board of Trustees, marking a significant pushback against Henyard's unilateral actions. The police department was notified that Henyard's security detail had been activated per ordinance, and Price directed the issuance of permits to the Dolton Park District, which had previously been stalled by the mayor without justifiable cause. He made it clear to department heads that any related matters fell under Henyard's responsibility. In a dramatic turn of events, the village also ceased the sale of vehicle stickers, prompting Henyard to initiate efforts to dismiss Price. In an attempt to exert her authority, she directed the IT director to disable Price's email account, effectively preventing him from performing any village-related tasks. On 2 occasions, she instructed Janice Johnson, the Director of Administrative Services, to prepare a termination letter for Price. During one of these instances, Henyard had her boyfriend, Louis Lacey, the former deputy police chief, stand guard outside Janice's office to ensure she wouldn't leave until the letter was drafted. However, Johnson dismissed Henyard's attempts to draft the termination letter during the village board meeting on August 5, 2024. Although Henyard called for a vote to terminate Price, no motion was made, and consequently, no formal action was taken. Despite this, Henyard declared that Keith Price was fired, showcasing a troubling pattern of behavior. Henyard's efforts to dismiss Price without adhering to legal protocols are emblematic of a broader issue. Her actions are part of a troubling trend where established procedures are disregarded. The board had previously set the parameters for Price's position with their approval, yet Henyard chose to ignore these protocols. By instructing her staff to lock him out of his office and cutting off his email access, she created chaos within Dolton. This behavior is indicative of an attempt to centralize power without regard for proper governance. In a striking moment, her alleged pressure on the Director of Administrative Services to draft a termination letter for Price reflects a significant overreach of authority. Stationing her boyfriend outside Janice's office to ensure compliance feels more reminiscent of organized crime than municipal governance. Such behavior raises serious questions about the professionalism and ethical standards within the Dolton administration. The implications of this power struggle are profound. The ongoing legal and ethical battles not only disrupt village operations, but also threaten the integrity of Dolton's government. Residents deserve leadership that respects established protocols and prioritizes transparency and accountability. As the situation unfolds, the focus remains on how these events will impact Henyard's position as mayor and the future of governance in Dolton. The temporary restraining order and the allegations surrounding the unlawful appointments underscore the urgent need for proper oversight and adherence to legal standards in local governance. The resistance from the Board of Trustees and the pushback against Henyard's unilateral decisions signal a critical moment in Dolton's political landscape. How the community responds and whether there will be calls for accountability will shape the future of leadership in the village. In conclusion, Tiffany Henyard's frustrations reflect deeper systemic issues within Dolton's government. The allegations of overreach, combined with the contentious power dynamics at play, highlight the necessity for a reevaluation of governance practices. It's crucial that leaders demonstrate a commitment to ethical conduct and respect for established processes, ensuring that the community can trust in its local government. As the legal proceedings continue, the eyes of Dolton will be on how these developments unfold and what they mean for the future of leadership in the village.
Well, Mr. Lacey is absolutely not guilty of all 9 counts. I believe he's cooperating. And if you cooperate, you have to admit your guilt first.
In a bold move that intensified the drama, Henyard audaciously declared at the board meeting that his pricing decision was final despite the board not having formally voted on it. This blatant disregard for protocol wasn't just a VI of the rules, it felt like a complete fracture of the governing process to exacerbate the situation. He once again circumvented the board by appointing Michael Smith as village administrator and Angel Lockett as village attorney without obtaining their formal approval. On September 3, 2024, Mayor Henyard, Trustee Andrew Holmes, Trustee Stanley Brown, and several members of the public gathered at Village Hall, but no quorum was established as mandated for a meeting. Leaving the session uncalled to order, Henyard began by requesting reports from the heads of various departments. Following this, her personal attorney Bo Brindley addressed the so-called attack on her administration, discussing the alleged corruption within the Board of Trustees and the controversial termination of Keith Freeman as village administrator. Mr. Brindley's speech contained numerous misinterpretations of the Open Meetings Act, the Illinois Constitution, the Illinois Municipal Code, and various court orders. Afterward, Mayor Henyard announced her decision to appoint Lakeside Legal and Attorney Angel Lockett as the new village attorney. Henyard announced the appointment of Michael Smith as the village administrator, bypassing any votes from the trustees regarding both Smith and Lockett's appointments. To top it off, she appointed Ronnie Burge as police chief despite the board having no input on the decision. These actions clearly signal a message of unilateral control, as if to say, I'm in charge and I don't need anyone's approval. This particular appointment of Ronnie Burge took place just 6 days A go on the 20th outside of an open meeting with no consent from the Board of Trustees, it seems Henyard is intent on maintaining a hostile working environment not only in Dothan but beyond. In Thornton Township, everything Tiffany touches seems to leave the community disoriented and directionless. The aftermath has created scientific internal damage to the village. Undermining the very foundations of local government, this turmoil has led to Dothan currently issuing restraining orders. Notably, Keith Freeman retains his position while Michael Smith is no longer the village administrator. Angel Lockett is not the village attorney, and Ronnie Burge has stepped down as police chief. Essentially, all the individuals she appointed hold no official roles within the village's governance. None of these appointments can be reinstated until the Board of Trustees votes on the matters at hand. This situation suggests that Tiffany is undoubtedly furious, and she will likely seek to appeal these decisions. The ensuing conflict will likely continue until the FBI intervenes or until the next mayor will vote next year. As it stands, Tiffany is not getting her way, which only promises to escalate the chaos further. In the end, Tiffany Henyard's leadership as mayor of Dothan and supervisor of Thornton Township is under intense scrutiny due to a series of legal and ethical challenges from court-ordered restraining orders regarding unlawful appointments in Dothan to federal investigations into potential mismanagement in Thornton Township. Henyard faces mounting pressure on multiple fronts. The public outcry, combined with legal setbacks, highlights significant concerns about her governance style, particularly regarding transparency and accountability. As the investigations in court cases progress, Henyard's political future remains uncertain, with growing calls for her resignation and increased public dissatisfaction with her administration. So that's all from today's video. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next one.